Let y'all get in here for a minute before we get back to answering about this sister, the basketball playing sister over there, Brittany Garner. Also, I'm gonna mention something about Hess, the one who so-called died in the car crash, because that's that's some shit. Yep, I got it. Brittany Griner, I'm on it. I'm just waiting on the chief. Why not? I'm about to bring you in here as soon as I get done with this sister. If she come back in, so I can finish this conversation. I'm gonna go to the question box. What are the requirements for the man to become a chief and a matriarch? Most loved, most respected is the rule. Most loved, most respected. And you only gonna get love by giving love, and you only gonna get respect by giving respect. So under the matriarchy, we ain't gonna have no bunch of people putting no paper in the box. You earn your position by your communication with your people across the land. And as you move up in the family, you move up in the community. That's how leaders is established among the clans. So it's most loved, most respected. So when somebody say something bad about you, how many motherfuckers gonna stand up and say you got that shit all wrong, right? Because you always be on some 100 shit, and a motherfucker come to with some 11 shit or some motherfucking 3 shit, and you on 100, motherfuckers be like, nah, you not watching the same motherfucker we watching. Because he's saying what the real deal is, and y'all on some bullshit. Y'all on some low level gossip. We go to questions.
Back.
Hey, so let me ask this question out the question box. Somebody said, what about the footage of the dragons we've been seeing? We've been seeing a combination of several different things. One is we've been seeing some CGIs. Another one is we've been seeing some holograms. And some of them are the pets that the Anunnaki brought from Nibiru with them that they fuck around and ran out in the street and got hit by a car.
And the Palladians were
That
here.
kind of right, that kind of scenario because they have dragons as pets. All they years is they got lizards that's similar to them on Earth, but they different, right? Like the Jesus Christ lizard that run on water. They love that little motherfucker. They be racing them, right? They mind power is so strong that they can project their psyche into the lizard that's running and try to make him use a mind and make him outrun all the rest of them by taking over his central nervous system. That's how advanced their telepathy and their clairvoyance is, where they can use other animals to deliver messages, and that's how we learned how to tap into totem animals. Um, they learned talking to animals from us, and we learned tapping into totem animals from the understanding of the frequency of the animal. They took it a step further than when they got it from us. So they play with it. It's like they video game to them,
It's
and they do it. They do it with us too. They do it with us too. They hijack us too, and they call that being demon possessed. But some of the motherfuckers is foul. But then you got some of them sweet as pie, and then you got a whole bunch of motherfuckers in between the two extremes, right? So some of the motherfuckers is so gorgeous to us that we be fucking Fabio falling out over him, Pam Anderson, but they chocolate motherfuckers. You know, some of the women are short and petite, and some of them are tall and voluptuous. And the men, most of the men are muscular unless they got what's called, I think it's Teros or
But
Deros
why do they
blood.
smell like metal to me?
Who? The
Like
Anunnaki?
people who not like in their right, it smells like a metal. Like almost like something like a dirty penny. Like I can smell it
Hmm.
different.
Right, because
What is
that's
that?
so your olfactory is picking up the pheromone. The pheromone that they emit also has a metallic taste in the back of your throat.
They've been here.
So you be tasting like you sucking on a penny. That's
Like I
copper.
said, like an old penny. Like it.
Right.
Mm.
See, our original color, we was the blue people and the green people.
Question: the
We got the
Avatar.
copper. We got the cop. That's about us. That's a documentary about unobtainium is the gold they came to get.
It's on my page. It's on that is on my page. It's further down. I was talking about the unobtainium. It's called unobtainium. They want to tell you it's not real, but that's the stuff that's in Wakanda too. It is real. Like, why would you make a fake element and say, oh, it's a mythical element, but you have the number, you have like all of like the protons
Look,
and
you ain't even
neutrons.
got to listen. You don't even have to have the metal's name. You can look the number up and see what they're talking about.
And with Avatar, their god, they named the god Awa. Wasn't Awa's the name of the entity that Aleister Crowley met in the pyramids?
Yep.
Is that thing still alive?
Awas is the consciousness of the earth. She used to express herself through what we call the great tree.
Wait, keep talking. I'm about to ask you, where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I'll be studying all day.
The great,
Great
the
tree. Is
great.
that this?
No, 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 no.
Is it another
That's not
tree?
to be.
Because I keep seeing it.
Yeah, that's not. It looked like I got a post I put up a couple days ago on my timeline where it was the tree of life.
Tree.
It was in, but what it is the tree had been so old on Earth that if you touch it, all it can absorb your memories, and to keep them all together in the fibers of the tree. So when a baby was born, they was born with a blank. So you take the baby to the tree read the baby's sequence of the DNA, and then give them that memory from all of the past lives that match that sequence. Because you came back to get your shit.
Nice. Okay.
So AWAS that they talk about, it works similar to it how they tell it to you in the movie Avatar. So that's why they chop down all of the big trees. The biggest tree, the great tree, used to pierce the sky. And the top of it was frozen. And it was people that lived in the top treetops that we call skywalkers. Now you call them Zulu and Crips.
My grandmother told me this story.
Yeah. Now you call them Zulu and Crips. Them your Skywalker clans. They didn't cut the Skywalkers down to earth and say they fallen angels. Because they was attacking anything coming through the atmosphere. They had to get rid of the trees. They talk about the destroying of the trees. I think it's either the book of Enoch or I think it's the book of Enoch, where they talk about destroying all of the trees. The trees, go back to Genesis. There was 2 trees in the garden that was critical. One was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
So this tree represents your your awareness of doing right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the other tree was called the tree of eternal life. So the first one is the one that they say Adam and Eve ate from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if Adam and Eve developed a conscience, right, that means they became aware of the difference between right and wrong. That means they were no longer toddlers crawling around on the floor. They teenagers now.
Okay.
So that tree that they was warned about was inevitable as a part of maturity.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you let them get too mature, they'll live forever because they'll realize they are an eternal being living in a temporary situation under a time crunch to hurry up and remember who the fuck you is before it's too late. As the time ticks on, we can't even remember why the fuck we here.
At all. At all. Let me see. I have so many. Oh, you supposed to talk about Brittany. You gotta talk about Brittany.
Oh, so look,
Is she
okay, so you know the original Russians was about our complexion,
yes.
but they had a different facial cranial structure and they had a muscular, longer physique.
Okay.
And if she is from that bloodline at this particular point in time, they have to come up with some kind of excuse for her to be over there because of her feet got to be there when the women take charge so she can get her birthright. She got to be in her ancestral homeland because the earth telling her where she need to be, and these motherfuckers is reading it on a star map and a birthday chart.
They talking to the city. That's another thing. Okay. So this is something that happened to me. And I want you to, I'm going to try to, when things like this happen, I'm going to try to describe it the best way possible. I'm outside. I always go outside and ground myself in the morning and in the night. I'm outside. I'm looking at stars. And I'm looking at the one particular star and it looks like it starts moving. And I ask it, I'm like, can you hear me? All of a sudden, it was like, I'm looking at it, everything around me in my peripheral, it felt like it went to putty and everything froze.
That's called making a psychic connection.
I was stuck.
The thing about when you make a psychic connection with a star, you get the energy pulse immediately because you're trying to establish quantum entanglement.
What did it do to me?
I'm about to tell you. Whatever it was you was trying to discover from it, you weren't gonna get it that day. Calculate one day to the number of years, light years it take for that light to get here. And you will know how long it's gonna take for it to sink into for their communication to your subconscious, because you haven't established the quantum link yet. It's not instantaneous yet because you're developing the faculty. It's like you teaching yourself how to hear.
Yes.
But you don't got no frame of reference of what it's supposed to sound like if you're hearing correct. So it takes your subconscious mind a certain amount of time to assimilate the information, and it has to discuss it with the higher self so it can tell you how to use it.
Makes sense. Okay. Next question. Why is my Giabella magnetic right now? Like off the chain. I can like walk around with cords stuck in my head all day. They've been doing it on Instagram, everything. I can walk around. It's magnetic.
Yeah, that's active third eye energy because the pineal gland makes a connection with the black dot it's called the reticular formation, and it's at the base of the spine in what's called the pons region. And then it comes to be another visual cortex here. This visual cortex then is working on a different frequency than the visual cortex here. it's reading the sight through the energy field, like sonar,
Okay.
right? But it's using electromagnetism.
Okay.
So when you put the coin up there, whatever, it holds on to it because it's trapped in the field. It's not because it's stuck to your head.
No, it's just there. I can move it. It's just there. It's like,
Yeah, it's trapped in the field. So imagine here's an exaggeration, a ray gun in a cartoon that delivers a pulse, right?
mm-hmm.
That's the exaggeration of the field that is caught in right here.
How do we use that? And what do we use that for?
That's just the test to see how active the system is. It's the Lucifer lens, the lens that allows you to see everything for exactly what it is. Because the regular lens is upside down and backwards. If you study optics, you will know that it looks like that we walking upside down, but the nerves in our eye flip it. What a Lucifer lens see through all of the flips in order to see what's really going on in the world around us.
Okay.
Right? So they tell us to fear it. Fear that Lucifer shit, that motherfucker Lucifer gonna take your ass to the pits of hell. Right? Lucifer gonna help you see your way out of hell and straight into the motherfucking gates of heaven. Because Lucifer is the illumination of the pineal gland striking the pons region, and the brain being filled with the sacred secretion gives you what's called anointed sight.
I felt that in my soul. Yes. Yes.
Right. Because the liquid serves as an amplifier and a focusing, like a magnifying glass, a focal energy. So it's an amplifier and a focus. So it's driving it into its singularity of view. It's what it's called. And that's what you call third eye vision. That's why I tell you in the Bible, when your two eyes become one, your whole body is filled with light. Because it began to act on the DNA crystals based on the amount of output of your mitochondria. That's why I told these 9-volt niggas they better boss their game up, because when the women start turning up the frequency in they self, it's gonna affect the males around them. And if he on some fuckboy shit, it's gonna fuck him up bad.
Okay. Now, from my tribe, can they strengthen that by, like, if we do blindfold exercise, will that strengthen it?
So there's a lady that teach how to read blindfolded.
Okay.
And when I open the training center, we're gonna be sending some of the students over there to learn the techniques from the doula center to come back and teach to the children over here.
Okay.
Right? So we'll be using those techniques to teach the children how to read or see blindfolded.
Okay.
Right? So imagine a child that was kidnapped blindfolded, but they can see exactly where they're going. And they know exactly who kidnapped them.
It's a wrap for that, honey. Yes.
Right? And then they can see when to escape.
That's almost like remote viewing, right? Because it is possible.
It's a little bit different than remote viewing. So remote viewing is like
I can see it.
It's like watching TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
But reading blindfolded is like taking the images from a radio story and creating them in your own mind. So you sending out a pulse from your aura, your auric field. And when the pulse hit the walls, it's going to come back like a sonar.
Nice.
But you got the control technique of the auric field is developed through Tai Chi.
There we go. Tai Chi.
Tai Chi is what you call kinetic meditation in motion. Okay. Instead of sitting down like the monks do with our legs crossed, because we used to do that shit too. But 3D shit got to be done both jobs at the same time.
Okay. So Tai Chi, Tribal Structure, Skywalker, Zulus, Destroying the Trees, Book of Enoch, Breathe of Genesis, How to Read Blindfolded, Magic Circle by Josh Almost, which is like I'm
It's
like
Yaj, Y-A-J, Yaj Nomalos,
why
Y-A-J.
YAJ. Okay, now with that, the eyes don't really see, do they? The eyes interpret.
No,
So
right. They translate light. They translate light waves into information in the brain.
they kind of
Binary code. The same way that they created a training room in the Matrix.
so Disney, everybody like yo, it's a program. So you really don't need to see because you don't really see.
If listen, Stevie Wonder eyes may be ruined, but he can see your ass.
Basically, and create it. That's another thing I wanted to ask about sound waves. You were saying that there are messages in certain songs. Like, was Dindada one of them, or did he steal that song?
Then Dada is the patriarchy. Den is the home of.
Okay.
So he's saying that it's the home of the patriarchy in the code, but he might not even know what he's saying, and it might not mean that in the language he's talking.
Okay. What are strong matriarchal songs have the vibration that are good to just play throughout like your home?
You gotta feel the music, sweetie. So when women get into their zone, they vibe, right? Some of them want incense, but other ones want scented candles.
Me, it's music.
And one want jazz, another one want motherfucking club music, right? It's the energy cultivation is to know what gets you in the state that you need to be in to produce the energy effect you want. So you choose I listen to damn near every kind of music you could think of.
So we need energy cultivation according to person, and like probably once a week or whenever we meet up, like take turns on like, yo, what you hear, and like everybody switch into that. Like if they're saying, oh, I'd use candles, we live in your vibe. So that way, when you can walk in somebody's position, you can kind of understand or understand them better. So practicing cultivation.
Yeah. So when we have family functions, we encourage the arts, poetry, song, dance, right? But we also encourage academic challenges like math contests, right?
Okay.
Instead of going from my school versus your school, it's going to be my cousin on this side of the family versus my cousin on that side of the family. And we going to come together and make sure we all got our motherfucking spelling bee shit so we can go on a national tour with this shit.
Okay.
Right? So we take the centralization of the wealth away from the 1% and redistributing it through the community. So let's say in the future, your nephew becomes a recording artist. The family bank's responsibility is going to be to give him the recording contract under the family's record label.
Facts.
Right? And then he get access to all his money, and you get to keep rogue elements from stealing from him. That's why all of the artists went broke.
Yes, they didn't. They went through the labels instead of us having like we don't structure our families. Like we don't look at when we get Coca-Cola, we think of like, oh, they sell so like no, that's a family.
Hmm.
That's a family. That each one of these names, that's a family.
Yeah, the Hershey's, the DuPonts, the
All
Fords,
yep, that's a
Chryslers.
so we have to establish our families. Next question is, you mentioned that the Zulu and the Crips are the Skywalkers. What are the other tribes? Is it almost like how they showed us the other Avatar, like you have the tribes? So is there something where we can reference us as people can look and say, you know what, that's the tribe, like an identification point for like, okay, you know what, those are the Sky, those are the fire people, like these are the like
Yeah, look, I'm gonna show you where to see Skywalkers in action. If you watch the movie The Great Wall with Matt Damon, the girls in the blue is Skywalkers, right? Look at the colors and then look at the job they performing. And you can match it across colors, across cultures, because the colors is still representative of that clan.
they got to show you the truth, even if it's in fiction.
Right.
So, question, another question. I know I'm all over the place. Bigfoot, like the forest person, like
Mm-hmm.
is that an entity that I don't feel like it's an entity that's from here? I think it goes in between. Does that thing live here?
Listen, the Bigfoot in ancient times, they listed him as a species called Gigantolopithecus. And they said that he was gone and he was extinct. But what it is they have caves that go deep in the earth and they spend most of their time down there and they start burying their dead in the caves. When they go in the woods, the reason they can't find them is because they telepathic. They know they coming before they get there most of the time, right? And if a person is in a passive state of mind, and that's the same as like a deer. Like if he's doing something, and then whatever he's doing, put him in one with nature, Bigfoot can walk right past him. But if he haven't tuned in to the frequency that nature tuning him into, Bigfoot know he there. He ain't gonna never see that motherfucker. Cause he could feel the ripple in nature. He know you there, and he know you on some bullshit, and he not gonna let himself be seen.
That's amazing.
And it's so rare for us in these modern times to be one with nature. That's why it's so rare to see them.
Are they causing the trees to start walking?
That's a whole nother phenomenon. That's psychic energy emanating from the earth.
There's too much. I can ask you questions all night, Rod. Let me know when you want me to stop, because I'm like, yo, I got a million questions.
Yeah.
I will stop.
Well, I am gonna take another caller because I wanted to talk to my boy Chief Why Not over there.
Thank you.
But it was good chatting with you.
Absolutely.
You asked a lot of good questions.
Oh,
when you brought up the sister over there, and I was going off the other line, when I came on, I mentioned I was gonna say something about that lady from the car crash.
Yes.
Do you know what the project she was working on?
Mm-mm.
She was doing a documentary on human and child trafficking in Hollywood.
For the adrenochrome, the white rabbit.
Yeah, but she was talking about the sex trafficking industry part. She wasn't talking about the adrenochrome part. And she wasn't dead at that car crash. So if she did, they either killed her in the ambulance or killed her in the hospital.
What's her name?
I think it's Hess. Look at what she was working on. See, we don't look at that kind of stuff because then we tend to just as, oh, another motherfucker died. No, they be trying to murder a motherfucker for trying to tell us about the dirty players in the game.
But yet we'll
right.
say, "Oh yeah, they don't tell us nothing. No, they sold out." Like, yo, so much that like a G, a Beyonce, so only so much they can. But if you're in tune, you'll see
Hey,
what.
you know what's funny? Let me tell you something that's funny to me. I always talk about a motherfucker sold out. Oh, that motherfucker sold out. And the motherfucking sellout doing more than your ass doing. What the fuck that make you?
Absolutely.
The
Like, yeah,
sellout is doing more, making more progress than your ass doing, and you over here judging and being critical and ain't doing shit to benefit the community.
absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
That's why don't nobody want to be our leaders.
Exactly.
Nobody want, why
Look
would you want to lead a
what
motherfucker that all they want to do is find some motherfucking dirt on you?
look what
That's their whole mission in life.
they tried to get you. I'm like, yeah, that's not.
Yeah, but I'd be like, that shit. Y'all got to do better than that. Y'all got to find some kind of skeleton somewhere. Guy, I can't find them, so I know you ain't gonna find the
You know,
motherfucker.
I
So
wanted to.
say what the fuck you gonna say.
The moment you came on the scene, I talked to mother about you. They ain't gonna find nothing, boo boo, at all. People and everybody that's in this room, they know it because when you speak, it resonates right here. You feel it. It's like, yo, that's what it is. Period. You might not like it, but that's what it is.
Yeah, a lot of people don't be liking the shit I be saying. They get their feelings hurt, but I'm always gonna give a motherfucker they just fucking do. Good, bad, and indifferent. If he was a good motherfucker, he's a good motherfucker. Right? If he's a piece of shit, he's a piece of shit. That's not my fault. Neither one of them is my fault. Whether he's a good motherfucker, he a good motherfucker on his own. And
Boom.
if he a piece of shit, he a piece of shit on his own. None of that shit got nothing to do with me. But when I see a motherfucker knowing the difficulty it is and trying to do the right thing all the goddamn time, and he making it through the struggle or he fall in the struggle, I'm not gonna try to tear that motherfucker down. Why would I do that? It's hard enough for a motherfucker to try to help us. And now we don't, when the motherfucker comes to really coming to do some real motherfucking good, we got a habit from Whitey a motherfucking tearing each other down. So now we can't even have no motherfucking organization. I don't get along with my family. Well, you ain't gonna get your inheritance because y'all got to figure out how to get along. That's part of your motherfucking prerequisite to getting your motherfucking generational wealth unleashed to your family. Y'all got to figure out how to put the bullshit to the side and motherfucking work together, or y'all gonna just not access y'all shit and be on your motherfucking own. Because it ain't gonna be giving out no motherfucking loans to a motherfucker that won't get their shit.
Exactly. What nation's flag do you come with?
We done with that credit shit. Everybody gonna have enough money to buy their own shit through their own family fortune.
Exactly.
So we don't do that credit shit. That is slavery. We done with the slave system. Them motherfuckers can go.
They've been real quiet.
But we don't need them here. We was doing good before they came, and we gonna be doing great when they fucking
What's
leave.
gonna happen with the IRS? What is happening with the Internal Revenue? What is happening with that?
The Internal Revenue Agency, Internal Revenue Services was a privately owned tax collecting agency.
Mm-hmm.
And they got different names around the world, but it's all franchised off of a Swiss banking corporation. And when the bankruptcy was executed, they are not jurisdictionally authorized to collect taxes right now. They only authorized to give returns on existing claims. But they ain't telling the people because they allowing people to recontract with them per deal.
And how do you do
Right.
so people don't recontract them? Don't
Stop
work?
anything that causes you to have to communicate with them, don't do that. Abandon the contract because they defaulted on the contracts. You have to leave the contract. Disassociate from the contract. Anything that requires you to sustain the contract, avoid it. Don't allow your children to participate in the educational system. Put together some kind of working program with the non-working mothers to educate the children while the working mothers help them out, and the fathers. Right? So you got all of the children coming over to a family member house instead of going to the elementary school where they was being auctioned off on the street and we didn't even know it.
Wow.
Be watching our kids go to school.
Yeah. They make them say
Picking the ones they want.
every day it's a sale. My son goes to school on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday only because he wanted to play sport.
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday he's with
Listen,
at 1 o'clock.
the community can take charge of the sports for the children that's homeschooled.
Okay.
You can still enroll them in sports.
Okay. Still be. Are we?
But the programs are going to change because our educational system is about to be switched up.
Okay. Are we gonna have a manual, like our own structural, like a book that we use, like a reference book? Because all of this on how to we need, like, all of this, we need it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can still be.
I just gotta melt myself down and pour myself between some pages.
In sports, I got a lot of stuff right now. I'm like, yeah, you got me started. You better go.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta holler at my boy Chief. Why not?
Yes, please.
I'm gonna talk to you later, sweetie. Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. She was asking some good ass questions too. Check out my prophecy and I'm a hard. What's up, God?
How you feeling, God? Peace, God.
What's going on with you?
I see you dropping them gems as usual, man. Hey.
Yeah,
notepad and they motherfucker need their pen and pad when you doing a lecture, man. Straight up.
There, or they can watch the video a couple times.
Oh, true that. Yep, definitely. Yeah, the goddess definitely has some great questions, man. Like, for real. Those some great questions. I feel like you answered them motherfuckers to the T, man. Like, for real.
I be trying, man. Most of the time, that's one of the things, but a lot of people don't know is I was one of the world's biggest skeptics. I ain't believe shit. Right? Even now, like a lot of the historical shit, like when I talk about the Anunnaki, it looked like to everybody I'm talking about people, I'm talking about energy fields. Right? Because they don't exist if they was in the history. They not here right now. Because yesterday not here right now. So I can't read them as actual people. I got to read the energy that represented by the field.
Right. Definitely.
So when I start talking about them, I'm talking about the energy that I'm picking up in the field related to this term we call this name, Enki, Enlil, Inanna, right? Yeah. Big Mama prime creator energy. That's when we feel Big Mama energy, we totally in tune with the laws of creation. Right?
Definitely.
So I read the energy that she sent through me, and then I tell y'all what I got. So when I was doing all my studying, I was just trying to get the descriptive language to match the energy so I could know how to explain what I was seeing in terms that people can grasp and understand. Because Elijah Muhammad said, I got to make it plain enough for a baby to understand. And I was like, shit. So I started talking to babies. And if I
Nah,
can
for
get them
real.
to understand, then I can get the grown folks too. Because they grown up babies that didn't never mature.
I definitely agree. That's how you know what you're talking about. When you know, if a person can only, explain something one type of way, then 9 times out of 10 they regurgitate information. But if you can break this shit down to a 4-year-old or to a college graduate, whoever, you feel me, you can flip it and break it down, articulate it differently, then you have a good a great understanding of what you're teaching. It's deep, man. I want to definitely dive in on something you was talking about with the Anunnaki and everything. So definitely, like we was building on the Emerald tablets and everything before. Like that's one of my favorite texts. I do decode ancient texts. Definitely familiar with the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Atrahasis. Them Sumerian texts. But also, you feel me, like ancient Egyptian texts, the coffin text, Egyptian Book of the Dead, and such. And like one thing that I do teach though, bro, is we we left Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. So we don't believe in Jesus Christ, Allah, or Yahweh anymore. We in a conscious community, and we spiritual now. Now a lot of us don't realize that we left these religious belief systems and fell into other belief systems. Like much respect to the to Tahuti or Jehudi, but I don't identify Jehudi as a flesh and blood man when a bird head that walked the earth 200,000 years ago. I used to think like these characters like Tahuti, Osiris, Isis, these were real characters. But until I started to mature in my spiritual journey, and I'm like, yo, this is another belief system. This is Egyptian mythology. Myths are not fact.
They're fucking with your feed, God. Man, they did that to him the other day. He was on here too. See if I can get him back in here. He said they done turned bro to a light being.
Yo, can you hear me, bro?
I can hear you. I don't
All right.
see you though.
You don't see me?
No.
I could definitely see you. I'm gonna drop down and come right back up.
All right.
Okay. All right, we back. We back.
Hey, somebody said they turned you into a whole light being.
Hey, hey, for real though, for real, for
They had me
real.
dying
Thing
laughing.
like that's what I'm saying. Like so, like okay,
Hey,
like
listen.
Tahuti is depicted as a flesh and blood man with a bird head, meaning half man and half animal. And they say he walked the earth 200,000 years ago. Like I used to believe that. Like, what show do you do you depict these as literal beings? I don't think you do because I kind of got a basis of what you teach, bro. But just correct me if I'm wrong. What's your perspective on it? Do you think they
So
were literal beings or are they anthropomorphic?
the chimera images that you see is totems expressed as part of a human. It's his totem animal that's represented as the individual. So when you see Tahuti as the Benu bird, that's because that's his totem animal. In that lifetime, that was his first totem animal. And when in Egypt, they used the stories that they told not to create a belief system, but to encode a metaphysical formula of education that works in conjunction with your level of awareness. But we read the stories that they put in there from the eyes of somebody that's been indoctrinated with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So we're looking at it from that lens, it becomes a belief system, right? But when you look at it for what the priesthood was doing when they was writing the hieroglyphics and telling the story, they were writing the hieroglyphics to teach alchemy in stages to the developing pharaoh who had to be a master of alchemy. He had to be a statesman, a judge, he had to be a priest, and then he also had his personal family. He had to be the father of the home, right? But he also had to go into the community and address the issues of the people that were struggling. And he want to know why you struggling. What can I do to help you get your tribal traditions in a way where you self-sufficient? And he didn't take the people that had village clans out of the village. Instead, he helped them organize better what their village was doing to be more productive and sustainable. That was his function. His function wasn't to be a dictator.
Who you talking
right?
about Tahuti?
The pharaoh.
Oh, the pharaoh.
Yeah.
However,
So
some Egyptian pharaohs were considered as gods. You know, flesh
right,
and blood
but
man.
that all that means when they say God in Egypt, the term that they call him is Neter or Aferdi. Right. And
Neter
what
is
it means is
right?
he's a master alchemist who can balance the laws of nature and affect large numbers of people, and doing it using himself as the template to create perfection in the self is to trigger perfection to develop in the outside world. So the Pharaoh being called the God, it's not that he's a God, so to speak, like the anthropomorphic Christian ideas, but he's a God in the senses that he can teach the people how to work in a cohesive manner to be most effective on a larger scale than anybody else.
Mm. Okay, that
so
makes sense.
The one with the most skill, yeah, so it'd be the one with the most skills get the highest position.
Exactly, and I was just gonna say too, ancient Egyptian pharaoh was considered as a god or a lord, and lord means master. Somebody who's a master or whatever. So of course, you feel me. This what, like you just said, they was referred to as gods because they were very skillful. And they know how to do the most.
Mm-hmm.
So it's deep though, and basically, these deities are anthropomorphic. So Tahiti wasn't a flesh and blood man with a bird head. Osiris wasn't a green man with a cone head. Isis wasn't a winged goddess deity. I mean, a winged goddess. Like these are anthropomorphic deities meant to explain principles and morals.
The symbolism. Yeah. So the symbolism is what you have to read. You don't take it literally that Tahuti had a bird head, right? You read the totem animal. So now, if you want to know why he used that that symbol, you go study the totem animal. And then that's going to tell you the prime quality of the person they represented as the Bennu bird. The Bennu bird is represented as Tahuti for this reason. If you ever watch them fish, they study the water until the fish is in the perfect position, and sometimes they stand in that one spot for prolonged periods of time, studying the water, waiting for a fish to come in range. And you see most of the time the bird-head man has a what's called a the scribe's utensils.
Okay.
Right?
Of course.
Right. Representing one who writes.
Right. He was the keeper of record.
Record keeper. Right. And the bird head just represents his nature of studying. And his totem animal being that bird, this is the link that the sympathy he have with his totem animal is they both intensely study a thing.
Definitely.
Right? So we read the energy and the symbolism, but we don't take it literally that
so look
Tahuti was a bird-head man.
So this is
right?
This is where it get deep at, and I feel like this a conversation for divine minds, because I definitely be trying to get into this topic with other reflections, but they just don't have enough wisdom. You feel me? But so Tahuti reveals to us in the Emerald Tablets that he is the creator, he is the builder of the Great Pyramid, and he set the pyramids over the halls of Amenti, over the new entrances over the halls of Amenti. So we can say, according to the Emerald Tablets, who built the pyramids? Nobody knows, but Tahuti saying he did. But was it Ramsey? They say Ramsey built the pyramids. You feel me? I forgot what dynasty.
That's the Hebrew doctrine.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's Hebrew doctrine.
That's what I'm getting to. So who are we to believe? Because this geological evidence that's stating, I mean, that's like that's authenticating, Ramsey building the pyramids. And I'm not on that side. I want to say Tahuti built the pyramids because he say I'm the builder of the Great Pyramids and I set them over the new entrances to the halls of Amenti. What you think about that?
We could start here. Go to the era of Ramses, right? Before Ramses ever ascended the throne, the Sphinx and the Great Pyramids had been submerged about 50% underwater.
I heard of that as it pertains to the Sphinx. The Sphinx is way older than the pyramids, but it's some archaeological evidence that's kind of like in alignment with Ramsey, and I don't know how credible that source is either. You feel me? I ran into some information that was linking Ramses to the pyramids, not the Sphinx, but the pyramids. I don't know how credible that resource was, though. You feel me? It was just some information I ran across, and I've been pondering on it because I'm for Tahuti. Tahuti built the pyramids on phone.
The Ramsey story came from an artificial story. The Ramsey story comes from the book of Exodus in the Bible.
Okay.
This is where because they saying that the God who Moses was warring with was the Pharaoh called Ramses. That's what the Hebrew community claimed. The problem with that is that Hebrew text that we call the Torah was written after what we call the New Testament of the Bible.
The Torah
and
was
they
written
wrote
after
it.
The New Testament?
It was written after. All of the Torah, the
Torah is the first 5
Mishnah.
books of the Bible. The Torah is the first 5 books.
Look, all of the Old Testament books.
That was
the New Testament is older. The New Testament is older than the Old Testament. Dr. Ben did a lecture on it.
Definitely send
Dr. Ben did a lecture on it. But it was for the purpose. It was for the purpose to establish an artificial group of people to assume the position as the chosen people of God that this Jesus character had to come back and get,
Mm-hmm.
right?
We know
So
that
in order for
Columbus.
them to paint that narrative, they had to get a Jesus backstory in order to make it look more credible when they create this new religion called Judaism. So when
We
they
know that
create the
Christopher Columbus.
Judaism,
Now I was
when
just
they
gonna say
create
Christopher Columbus though.
Judaism,
Yeah.
yeah, they go into Europe and they take groups of people out of Europe, Sephardi, Ashkenazi, and Khazarians specifically, give them high positions in the Moorish court. And with this, they give them a seal of a six-pointed star as a family crest. And they carry the six-pointed star to show their allegiance to a group of royals called Tudors, who are called Jews or Black Jews or Moorish Jews or Etruscan Moors or conquistadors,
Mm.
right? So now they hold the wealth of all of the royal families of Europe, and they the ones who supply that lavish lifestyle of their cat's paws. They became called Amun priests. That means the priests that you don't know about. They
Right.
don't exist in the open. Well, I come from the group called the Aten priests. Aten means to be made known, high noon, out in the open, ain't ducking a motherfucker, ain't running from nobody because I ain't got nowhere to hide. And I don't run very fast, but I fight real good. And I'm not really worried about nothing else because I'm good with a knife and I'm better with the thumper. So,
For real. Hey, you got some funny ass commentators, man. It's all peace and love, man. This how God
man,
this how the
I be
God
loving
do,
my
man.
people.
Yeah, they good. They good. They don't know no better, man. Peace and healing though. But it's like, it ain't nothing like that. It's much respect to the God. You feel me? But I'm definitely a scholar myself, and this God is presenting me new information. So all I'm doing is asking questions, and I ask them for a reference as it pertains to the New Testament being older than the Old Testament. That's some new information.
Yeah,
So I'm a student that, and there's nothing wrong with that. They like, yo, let them talk, and it's like they don't know how when
yeah,
two scholars with high degrees of information, you feel when they get in the same space, you feel. And this is what we do. We learn from each other. Shit.
yeah. So Dr. Ben did a lecture on it.
Dr. Ben, okay.
He did a whole lecture on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's on YouTube too. It ain't even hard to find.
Yeah, I fuck with Dr. Yosef Ben. I fuck with him, G. That was one of my go-tos when I first became spiritually awakened.
He
The
could
master.
not understand for the life of him why these motherfuckers don't understand the matriarchy. Why they don't understand the position of the woman. That shit was driving him crazy till it drove him to his grave. He couldn't figure that shit out. Out of all of the shit he could figure out, he was like, I don't understand why they don't know that what black woman is God. I don't understand this shit. What is it? What is
Hey,
they
so look,
looking at? Where is it? He
so
was
look.
fucked up.
Let's build on that. And then somebody in the comments say something about teleportation. I don't know if you seen the comment, but I definitely want to hear your perspective because I definitely got a great deal of knowledge on teleportation. It's fairly different, but they was asking, do you have to reconfigure the body, in teleportation? And I would say, like, of course, we teleport every night. We go into a dream. When you go into the dream state, you're teleporting. You feel me? And you controlling another body when you're in that state of mind.
Hey, it's
When you're
about
in
to
that
cut me
reality.
out in 30 seconds. I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come right back in.
Okay, I bet, bro.
Yeah, so they about to end this one. I'm gonna come back in, top it up some more with whatnot. We on a good bill.